Counselor?
Doing well. It's 5 o'clock. Would everyone please rise and join me in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Treasurer will call the roll.
Here.
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 Here. Record will indicate that all members are present. We need action on the minutes of October 24, 2011 special session.
Your Honor, I move the minutes be approved as presented.
Second.
A motion made and properly seconded. Any discussion? Call for the question.
Yes.
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 Minutes are approved on a vote of 7-0. Under comments of the mayor, I gave each one of you councilmen a packet from Anthem. Tells our all the information we need to know about the health insurance for the employees. You'll note in part of it there is on the very front thing it says City of Logansport. The admin fees for Anthem went up 4% per person, so that's an increase of about I think it was an increase of about $1.25. Everything else came in pretty close to what we had anticipated as far as our claims costs and all that stuff. So if anybody, after you had the opportunity to look at this, if you got any questions, please contact us and we'll discuss it. Are there any petitions or comments of citizens? Mike's shaking his head no. Okay. That wouldn't surprise me. Reports of committees, boards, or commissions.
Your Honor, I want to just point out this isn't any specific committee, but I did receive a note card today, and I know that it was not going to be sent out to all council members because they got it late, but this has to do with a Ivy Tech Trine partnership. They're going to be doing a College Career Connect event, and it's going to be on November 10th from 5 to 7, and they wanted to make sure that word got out that all of the city council members as well as the county council members in our community were going to be invited. So I gave them Doc Anderson's as a contact for the county, and so I just wanted to let everybody know while I have your ear that on Thursday, November 10th, 5 to 7 at Trine University, and it just talks about extending the educational professional development in our community and how Ivy Tech and Trine are working together.
Thank you. Is there any other... Under old business, we'll now open the public hearing for Ordinance 2011-25, an ordinance removing the City of Logansport electric utility from the jurisdiction of the Indiana Regulatory Commission. Is there anyone here this evening that would like to speak in favor of or against this ordinance? Guess not. Yes, that's the purpose. Please come to the microphone, and ma'am, we need your name and address, please.
My name is Carolyn Wood. I live at 307 East Columbia Street. And my question is, if you do remove it from that regulation, will the rates go up, and who will be in charge of either limiting or setting rates?
I'll let the attorney answer that, or have Paul answer it. There are a number of rates and fees and tracking charges that govern the utilities, and the Utility Service Board will first pass them. Right now, the City Council passes them, and then they're sent on to the IURC. So after this, if this is approved, it will still have to go through the Utility Service Board and also the City Council. And there are no rate increases proposed by the Utility Service Board or the City Council this time.
And we discussed during committee that we've never, as a board, as a council, Common Council's never passed a rate increase that wasn't approved by the IURC, correct?
Exactly.
In fact, they've actually told us that sometimes when we've raised rates, they weren't enough.
Right. And there's a lot of times, most of the time, the toughest hurdle to pass is always the City Council. Any kind of local control is always the most difficult for a utility. That's why most of the time the IURC is there for the investor-owned utilities who don't have local control.
This is just a cost-saving measure for utilities.
Right.
That would
If we don't
flare
have to
out.
go to the IURC, it saves one more step of governmental layers, if you will.
Well aware of the layers.
Ma'am, did that answer your question? Okay, please, yeah, please come up.
Could be three.
My mother was a very wise woman, and she once said,
All mothers are.
if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why the change? What's the benefit other than bypassing one step of government? You deal with government all the time. That's the nature of our economy.
Maybe that's why our economy's in the shape it's in.
Well, what I understand when we had the meeting on this is there was regulations with the IRC that was going to make us spend up to, if I'm right, Paul, like $750,000 in upgrades that we weren't necessarily necessary. And this will keep us from having to do that. If we can save anywhere from $500,000 to $750,000 a year, that should actually be a reason to help keep rates lower rather than raise them. Is that correct?
What were the upgrades that they were proposing?
I can't. I mean, it was, what, a month or 2 months ago?
I won't get into a lot of explanation on it, but basically the state is proposing an energy efficiency tracker that we would have to pass. And that would be approximately 2% of our gross revenue, which comes to around $650,000 to $750,000, depending on the month that you're looking at. And that's a lot of money. I mean, that would be something that we would immediately have to ask the board and the council to, to pass the rates on. And what the state's doing at this point, the IRC, is they have chosen a contractor that we don't have any choice in getting. They've chosen it for the entire state, and we have no say-so in it. The City of Auburn, Mishawaka, and Logansport are the only three independent municipalities that have asked for removing ourselves from that tracker. But we don't know if it's going to pass the IORC or not.
Do we also pay fees to the regulatory board, since we're members of it?
We don't pay fees, but we do, for example, when we pass a fuel cost adjustment or wholesale power tracker, those things are all expensive. And we could just save that money by going through the board, going through the council, and be done with it.
And Paul, at one time, am I correct here, there were over 300 municipalities that belonged to IURC, and now there's less than 50?
There's less than 50 because it not only includes electric but also water utilities that can be governed by the IURC. Most all of the water utilities are gone, and there's only a few electric left.
Okay.
The bottom line, ma'am, the short answer to that question is it has to pass the city council before it goes on to the IURC. There's your voice, and you can stop it there if there's enough folks that want to stop it. So, and the Utility Service Board meets the last Tuesday of every month. Those meetings are open as well, and there's a lot of notification if something like that's going to happen. So, are there any other questions, comments before we close the open public meeting? Is there any other questions before we close the public meeting? comments? Okay, at this time, I'll close the public meeting on the ordinance 2011-25. We'll start with that, Councilman Kraut.